commercial. You're live.
Hi, and welcome to Coffee with Ori. It is Monday, and I am here with my coffee, welcoming you to this show. Uh, a lot of things have transpired this weekend, this Holy Week that just passed, and I find myself watching movies that I remember watching as a young gentleman, and I think that now that I'm older, I have a better understanding of the meanings of these movies, because there are a lot of underlying messages behind this movie, and a lot of it has to do with religious, when I say religious jargon, you know. I guess a lot of us have been born and raised in different types of spiritual or religious institutions, because that's technically what they are. And we're taught to believe a million and one things. And if you do this, it's sinful. If you do that, it's sinful. So what happens with all of that is that you grow up with these stigmas, and then you start believing inside of yourself that you are responsible for the lives of other people. And I need to clear this up with everyone, because it is based on my opinion, but it's also based on watching a lot of my old friends, old acquaintances that no longer are living, and even acquaintances that are living that have gone through this. So the first thing that I want to explain to you is, when spirit, or when you have an awakening and you're going through your spiritual moments and you're trying to heal you, and you are a white lighter, but you're not really developed yet, you're just a white lighter and you're just learning about these things, you're not responsible to teach people or to help people find their way. That's not your responsibility. You have to first check yourself. You have to first heal you, heal the body, the spirit, the mind, and the soul in order for you to help someone else. Oftentimes, we take the responsibilities, okay, or in our generation, I believe in my generation gap, and I'm 54, so in my generation gap and generation gaps of people in the 60s, a lot of parents push their children onto their parents. and vice versa. And sometimes the parent tried to find lives and have left the sibling with another sibling. And, maybe at that moment, it's just the way that things were done. Technically, I don't feel that. I feel the child should not be raising a child. I don't think that if your mother decides to go somewhere and your brother, your sister's there, I don't believe that should be your responsibility to take care of them. I don't believe it's your responsibility to worry about what's going on with a neighbor or something that is going through drama or going through something messy with fighting, or things like that, and for you to get involved. It's one thing to get involved and talk to the people. It's another thing to constantly get involved because you feel that is your duty. That's another misconception. Like I said, heal yourself first before you start getting involved. Unfortunately, like I said, there are a lot of different scenarios. Like you're not meant to be liked by everyone. So stop trying to let everyone like you. I mean, you're going to run across people that don't like you because they don't like to see you succeed. It's not that they don't like you because you've done something to them. They don't like you because you are succeeding where they're not succeeding. So then automatically it becomes a void and everybody starts disliking you because once one person doesn't like you, they convince a group of people not to like you. And people, unfortunately, as society has shown over and over, people are willing to believe nonsense, and they're typically engraved to. It has been deeply engraved in them to accept the things that they don't have a clue about. So they accept ignorance, they accept lies, they accept drama, but they can't accept the truth because when you tell them the truth, they don't believe it. So at the end of the day, it's not your responsibility to make people believe in you. The only one that needs to believe in you is you. The only one that needs to heal you is you. The only one that needs to heal anybody has to be healed first. I say this often, and I've said it many times. God does not need anybody to defend him. God can defend himself. And God is not looking for martyrs. Not at all. There's been many martyrs since the beginning of time. And you know what? So they get a memorial. And not everybody has gotten a memorial. So not every martyr has been known. There's been millions and millions of martyrs, but not all of them have been known. Only a selected few. So at the end of the day, sometimes you get involved in something, like let's say somebody's married and the sister-in-law or the brother, whatever, doesn't like them. It becomes a disaster because then it becomes a shit show of this person thinks you're, this and that, whatever. Look, ladies and gentlemen, if you get involved in a relationship, just because the person changes doesn't mean that the partner is responsible for their change. Sometimes people change because that is what they're meant to do, is change. Sometimes people assume that other people are strong, and in reality, it's the opposite direction. Some women get involved with men and people think, oh, wow, the man, she's got a strong man. But in reality, he may not be a strong man. He may be a strong man because she makes him strong. But if you're looking at it in a different way, at the end of the day, you cannot fill your head or even think about things and expect yourself to feel guilty all the time. You have no reason to feel guilty about something that you really are not responsible for. Like I always said, when a person gets married, they leave their home because they want a home. Unfortunately, not all the time does it work out that way. So sometimes they get involved and then they end up back in their mother's house, or they end up somewhere else, or they end up transitioning. People go through many things. I know I've had my share of going through things, and it's not about marriage or anything like that, although I was there already. The reality of life is this, okay? When you have a home, and it is a secure home, and you have children, as the mother, you have to come first. Mothers always need to come first. Then their babies, then the father. Because that is basically the way, Now, because scriptures has been changed, like the King James Bible, they make it seem as if the man is first, the woman second, and then the children are last. That's not the proper order. I mean, proper order, if you look at the Quran and you look at other books, I mean, the woman is considered an orphan. So the woman comes first. She has to be completely helped and healed and be 100% herself in order for her to raise her children the right way. But most men want, I'm not going to say most, a big majority of men want women to dedicate a lot of time to them. So they become like little babies. And again, you're not responsible to be taking care of children that are not yours, not even your husband's. So at the end of the day, you come first, and you always, always, always have to come first, okay? And then your children come second, and then the man comes third, and then your household. But it is your job to make sure that your children have a roof over their head, they have food to eat, and they have clothes to wear. Doesn't matter what anyone thinks of you. Because at the end of the day, I'm going to curse and I'm going to tell you this. Opinions are like assholes. Everyone has one. So it doesn't really matter what other people's opinions of you are. As long as you know that your heart is pure and your heart is clean, and what you're thinking of at that moment comes from a very good place and a deep place of love, then you don't have to worry about anything. I understand that, we come from a generation, and we come from, Hispanics and blacks and a lot of whites and a lot of Asians and stuff. But I would say more minorities are known for keeping their parents until the day they die. And they'll trade them off to one brother. There's 5 of them, and each brother or sister gets a turn with them. And that is just something, the way that we were raised. But are we responsible for them? Technically, we're not. You know what I'm saying? Yes, they raised us. They did their job. As a good child, loving your parent, it is your responsibility to be there for them while they're alive and help them in anything that they need. But there are certain things that we're responsible for and certain things that they should have planned for, which unfortunately is not always the case with minority people, with blacks or Hispanics. They don't prepare a nest egg for their old age. They assume that, once they get a certain age, they're going to be taken care of. And so therefore, they just go through it like that. 90% of the people who take in their parents, if they're smart, they will get Medicare and they will get everything that their parents are entitled to and get a home health aide to come and help. That way, a little bit of the stress is off of you. Again, what happens? You alter your life to do something or to be responsible for something that technically is not your responsibility. And I know this sounds cruel, but we all have our own destinies to live. We all have our own ways, and we all have our own journeys. And if we continue to put our journeys aside to make sure that we're holding hands with other people's journeys, we will never succeed. So we have to learn how to understand that if you're not healed, how are you expected to heal someone else? Our parents, some of our parents, they did, some people's parents have done things where they were more women than mothers, but you know what? They had a plan. And their plan was they were for themselves. They thought about themselves. To me, there was nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong about thinking about yourself. There's nothing wrong with a mother trying to make sure that they're happy. But when happiness becomes your only journey, and you have children and you push them aside because you're only looking out for your happiness, that speaks volumes of the type of person you are. But it also speaks volume of the type of person who raised you. Because I can't just blame you. I have to blame the person that also raised you, or the situation you were in when all of this came about. Thing is that my generation and the generation that came after me, we need to understand that a lot of us are kind of messed up. So we are trying to heal ourselves by looking for peace and love and harmony. Some of us are fortunate to have their families by their side. Some children are lucky to have their mothers that take care of them and take care of their grandchildren, and they love their grandchildren, and they love their husbands' their children's wives, and it's beautiful. But when it's not beautiful, that's not your responsibility. Although people may cast stones at you and say that it's because of your fault, it doesn't matter. Because at the end of the day, I've learned by example, by learning that I cannot live life blaming people for my dysfunctions. I can't blame people for the traumas that happen in my life. Those are things that I believe are meant to happen. Okay. This is where I differ in between God and Christ. So I spend a lot of time blaming, the Almighty, but I realized that God in his way of fashion, we deem him as being perfect, and that's fine. But God created good and God created bad. God doesn't judge good or bad. So where does the judgment come in? Again, judgments. We have outside when it is outside. Yes, Kathy, I agree with that. Happiness is within yourself. So like I said, when you start to blame, you have to really look at yourself and ask yourself, and look at yourself in the mirror, ask yourself, how far have I come? What have I achieved? And if you've achieved so many great things, why are you so angry? Anger does not resolve anything. Bitterness, Lord, there are so many bitter people in the world. And there's a lot of mean-spirited people in the world. But yet, a mean-spirited person doesn't want to be called a mean-spirited person because it offends them. A liar doesn't want to be called a liar. A gossiper doesn't want to be called a gossiper. A problematic person doesn't want to be called a problematic person. So what do? Take responsibility for what we're supposed to take responsibility of, which is ourselves. Heal ourselves first, because we are not just prisoner of toxicity, we are also toxic. And every time people say, oh Lord, and I have plenty of people that I know that say this all the time, I just want to die. Well, you know what? Like I said many times, and people, as much as you guys that I know care about me, and I love you all that show up and talk, I am an advocate for suicide. I believe that we have the right to choose. God gave us that right to choose. If you're dying and you want to die, then you know what? You have the right to go somewhere where you have the right to die, and you have the right to choose. But when you're talking on this yin yang that you want to kill yourself, and you want to kill yourself, and you really want to kill yourself, I'm going to do it. Only thing I say is go find the biggest building and jump. Because if you really want to die, then you should find the biggest building and jump off of it. Don't take pills like a bitch and decide to just go to sleep. Don't do that. Don't take a noose and hang yourself, because it's gonna take seconds before you die. Jump. That way is one big bam and you're completely gone. Lights out. So at the end of the day, if you don't really want to kill yourself and you're just confused or you're going through a lot of stuff, try to deal with it. Try to find help. I love therapy. So at the end of the day, I love therapy because I go to therapy. Well, I haven't been to therapy in a long time, but I go to therapy, or when I went to therapy, every therapist that I've ever dealt with has become my friend. Don't know why. The first month I go to therapy once a week, they're my doctor. The second month, I'm their best friend. I don't lie about being a reader or a medium, and then they want to know information. And then every time I come, I'm their best friend, and they bake me cookies or they sit me down and they ask me a billion questions. And again, that's not my responsibility. Like they say, not my monkey, not my show. I'm not responsible for healing the world. I'm responsible to give you information and have you spread the word and try to learn something from it. And if out of this conversation you get one thing, which is heal yourself first, then I've done something right. But if in this whole podcast you don't get anything except, oh my God, he's like really cold and he doesn't care about his family, then you know what? Again, that speaks volumes of you. That speaks volumes of the person you are. At the end of the day, we can only do what we can do. We can't do anything else. We can only do what we can do. We can take care of our parents the best way we can. But at the end of the day, if you got other siblings and you're expecting your other siblings to help you, and then you find out that in the time frame that you were not there, your siblings did not help, you can be angry with them. You can be upset with them. You can be upset with the situation. But in reality, what can you accomplish with that? Nothing. The only thing that you need to accomplish, and the only thing that you need to be sure of, and the only thing that you need to understand in your head is that as long as you were there and you sent her flowers while she was living, and you were there every time she needed you, and you sent her love and light, and you conversated with her on the phone, and even if you couldn't visit her because you were in another state or you were in another country, the fact that you thought and you took the time to call them to express yourself, that speaks volumes of your spirit and soul. So you don't have to cry when they're gone and feel like, oh my God, I miss her, I miss her. No, the reality is that you can miss them, but what is the sense of mourning someone and keeping their spirit here, lingering, because you're mourning them? That's kind of being a little selfish, So, you have to see how things are shifting around you. And you have to analyze the things that you do. And you have to ground yourself into the understanding that you can only be responsible for one person, and that is you. And once you are responsible for you, then you can be responsible for your children if you have children, and then everyone else. Sometimes you raise children and your children turn out to be assholes. It's not that you planned it that way. Maybe it's that you gave them too much too fast, or maybe it's that you just spoiled them and you allowed them to do and say things to you when they were younger, and as they got older, they lost respect. I know a lot of people that call their mothers by their first name. I know a lot of people that have called their mother bitches and hoes, and mother vice versa, mother yelling and calling you names, and you're arguing and calling each other all kinds of things. I've seen it. That speaks volumes of the mother, but it also speaks volumes of the child. So at the end of the day, when you're looking to heal someone, or you're looking to help someone by picking someone up, by looking at them and saying, I feel sorry for him, or I feel sorry for her, and when I got into their lives became better. Really? You honestly believe that? I know that people say that people can change, but I've always believed that a whore cannot be a housewife. Once you're a whore and you like it, you're always going to be that person. It's never going to change you. Yes, you can change Correction, you can change and you can go to church and say, I am reborn again. I'm a born again Christian. And when I was in the street, I did this and I did that. Well, you know what? Some people are going to remember that you were Jane, the prostitute that walked in the corner, no matter how sanctified you are. So they're going to have their opinion, just like I have my opinion. But I definitely know that even women that actually join the church and are very sanctified, they always meet someone in the church that will break them down and bring them down back to size, whether it's the deacon of the church, whether it's the minister of the church, whether it's the one of the ushers. I mean, there's always someone that's going to know your business, is going to know your past, and they're going to put it to the test. They're going to put it to the test and then tell you, I'm just trying to see how close you are to God, if you really are reborn again. So what happens? They activate people, they hurt them, and then they become hoes again. So, like I said, in this life, you have to always remember that you cannot spit up, because anytime you spit up, you have to remember it's going to come back down in your face. You can't say, I'm not going to drink out of that water, because you're never going to know when you're going to have to drink out of that water. So the best thing to say is what I do, I just keep myself and, I just say whatever works. And I'm never going to say never. I'm always going to say whatever. Because at the end of the day, do I really know? No. Although I'm a spiritualist, do I really know everything? No. God gives us a mini window. And that mini window that he gives us it only allows us to see glimpse. And from those glimpses, we're able to help people. But do they really give us glimpse about ourselves? No, they really don't. You can read tarot, you can read yourself. But at the end of the day, you read yourself, you throw out a few cards, you're going by the book. You're not going by what Spirit is telling you, because Spirit usually doesn't talk about what is moving. The Spirit will warn you and tell you, don't do that. Don't go in that direction. This person's not good for you. Then if you listen, then you'll be fine. But if you don't listen, what's the sense? So again, the only person you're responsible for is you. And it is okay not to feel guilty. It is okay to understand that everyone has their own private journey. And it is okay if you cannot take somebody that you love to accommodate you and therefore share your journey. That's also not your responsibility. Everyone has their own journey. Maybe we can head out on the bus the same way or in the train the same way, but I'm going to get off maybe two stops before you, and it's up to you to keep going so that you can finish and find your journey. But at the end of the day, I'm not responsible for your journey, and I'm not responsible for anything else except me. I can give you advice, I can lead you to the water, but I can't make you drink it. If you don't want to drink it, you don't have to drink it. So at the end of the day, look at things that are tangible. Now, women who get divorced, are you responsible for your ex-husbands or their stupidity? No. Are you responsible for their siblings and their family? No. Are you responsible for your child? Yes. Is your husband responsible for your child? Listen, we're about to go into commercial in 1 minute. It's 9:29. So once you see the commercial, then I'll stop. But we as people have to understand, and women, especially you women, you guys, when you have children and you're single, you want to find a father figure for your children. You know what? Mothers are mothers and father figures. You want a father figure? Put them in the YMCA, put them in a boys club, put them somewhere where they're going to have male figures, help them. Uncles, grandparents, you know what I'm saying? Don't just push them on to another man because you figure I'm getting this man and I need him to raise my children and raise them to be this or that. I'm proof positive is a disaster. Proof positive that the majority of my tragedies happen as a baby, as a child. We'll be going to commercial now. And
You're on.
Okay. Now, I want to make something clear because just in case I made it clear, I want you to understand that when I'm talking to you about this advice, I'm not giving this advice just to women. I'm giving this advice to men also. You are strong. Men. We are taught to be strong, but not all of us are going to be strong. Some of us are weak. Some of us have been babied so much that we depend on a woman's ideology about what she feels that we should do, and we constantly. Along the years, I've met a lot of men who I feel they're weak. They ask women for every single advice, and they don't think for themselves. And when they do, they become idiots. So at the end of the day, this also is partly for you. Don't feel that you are responsible to make a woman whole. You're not. The biggest mistake that people have made in life is that everybody used to say, well, I'm looking for my other half. I'm half and then he's half, or I'm half and she's half, and then together we make one. No. What you make is a donut hole. That's what you make, a donut hole. So what you're looking for is you need someone who is whole, and you become whole, and then you intertwine your love, and it becomes unity. You don't need someone who's half-assed, and you don't need someone who you're going to pick up from the street and decide you want to clean him up. Oh, he just has a little drug problem. A little drug problem. I'll just take him to rehab and I'll help him. Doesn't work. If you've been to rehab more than 5 times and he hasn't healed you, you're not ready to stop. You have to hit rock bottom and fall to your knees. Not being homeless, fall to the brink of death for you to realize that you need to quit, and you will. If you don't, then you die. Okay, so it is just as simple as that. You can't cry because someone called you out your name. You know what? You can't give up. You cannot give people an opportunity to hurt you and to judge you and to say things because you're so-called in love, and then therefore you're gonna let them talk to you any way they want to, and then you feel that you're responsible because you allow them to. Yeah, you did it. You did allow them to, but you're not responsible for their behavior. Their behavior is their behavior. You're not holding a gun to their heads. You're not asking them to abuse you. You're not asking them to call you out your name. But I told you this before, women and men. Anytime in a relationship you're called out of your name, trust and believe it's not the first time it's going to happen, and it will not be the last. So you need to never let it happen. And when you do, you break it down. No. And if they don't respect, then you know what? It's time to go. Simple as that. It's time to go. You cannot love someone else more than you love yourself. You cannot. And if you do, then what's the purpose? What's the purpose of you living on this planet if you have to love other people to make yourself like yourself? You have to love other people so that you can like yourself. Does that make any sense? Because it doesn't make any sense to me. So with this being said, you can only change people that want to be changed. You can only change people to a certain degree. You can only make them think in a certain way, because some people are just set in their ways. Some people believe, like I said, a lot of people, not just some, a lot of people, different cultures, whether it's black and white and Haitian and Hispanic and you name it, all across the board. They go to Kingdom Hall and they become who they become because they figure, I'm going to learn a different doctrine. No, you're learning something that's going to create you to become a fanatic. And that's simply the truth. Now, is there any truth behind pagan holidays? Of course. Every freaking holiday is a pagan holiday. But we've been taught and we have been conditioned to believe that these holidays are very important for our children. But sometimes people empty out their pockets to give to their children and give them everything they have, and they end up with nothing. And that's what they live for. They live for the holiday spirit so they can buy their children more junk and buy them things that they really don't know or don't need instead of buying them books so they can read and stay away from the damn computer. So at the end of the day, again, you are only responsible for guiding them. You cannot force them to do anything they don't want to do. And like I said, you are responsible for things to a certain level. When you are an adult and you have children that are adults and they're in your home and you're the one taking care of the majority of everything and they act up, get rid of them. They want to act like a man. They want to act like a woman, but yet they're living off of you. Get rid of them. Get rid of them. You don't really need that energy because if you're not progressing, obviously you're not progressing because that energy that's in your home is not allowing you to progress. This is food for thought, guys, okay? Now, it is 9:38. So at 9:45, I'm going to walk you through a meditation, okay, which is in a few minutes. I'm going to walk you into the meditation, and I'm going to be doing the Om Namah Shivaya, and you guys, and we will start the breathing, and we're going to just relax the mind, body, and soul, and the spirit for today. But I'm going to guide you through this meditation. But for now, like I said, I needed to talk about this because this is a sore subject for a lot of people. And unfortunately, people have taken in their mothers, their grandmothers. They have taken them in. They have taken care of them until the day they die. But then when they look around and they're like, oh my God, 10 years of my life's passed. Look at how much time I've lost. No, you didn't lose time. You lost it because you wanted to. But you were not obligated to lose time. Doesn't mean you have to stop your life. It means that at the end of the day, you could have done the opposite. You could have hired a nurse, or you could have hired many nurses that would have guided you or have helped your situation, or you could have brought a family member to help so that you could go out and enjoy your life and never forget who you are. Because I'm sure that when you're put in that position, that person did the same thing for their parents, and they did the same thing for their parents, because the Bible says that is something you need to do. That is your responsibility. Okay? So I look at it differently. If you're my mother, my father, and you beat me, and you do nothing but talk crap about me all the time, then why should I honor you? I can respect you and I can love you because you're my parent. Doesn't mean that I have to do for you. Because if you had the ability and the nerves to talk about me and put me down when all I did was try to love you, I'm sorry. I'm not a forgiving person like that way. I'm not Jesus. I'm not God. I don't forgive. I hold on, but I don't really hold on. I just ignore. That's why I always tell people, when someone hurts me, I ignore them. And I believe that when I make people invisible in my heart, they become invisible in my eyes. And I can walk right through them, no matter how much I love them, and never say a word to them. I remember a long time ago, I didn't speak to my younger sister for like 3 years. And we frequented my house, my mom's house, and I would sit at the table. We would all sit at the table, and I wouldn't say a word. I wouldn't look. I wouldn't talk. I wouldn't say nothing. And it didn't bother me. It eventually bothered her where she had to come and apologize. I don't apologize if I didn't do anything wrong. But at the end of the day, if I feel some kind of way and I feel that you're treating me some kind of way, I'm going to bring it up to you, because I'm not responsible for slapping the shit out of you. Okay? And that's reality. I'm not responsible for that. So it is better for me to sit down with you cordially and talk to you at that moment when it's happening, rather than to hold it in so long and become hateful and angry, which I've done for a long time. So, like I said, I am only responsible for me. I am only responsible for my actions. Be responsible and take responsibility for yourself first. You know what I'm saying? Create a plan. Sit down with your parents, create a plan, because they don't create a plan. You have to be the one to sit down with them and create a plan of what it is that you want to do, just in case something happens. They need to make sure that they have everything in order. So if anything happens, you have everything in order, because you're not responsible except for yourself. And it's not self-proclaiming. It's actually self-realization and self-help. And everyone should do that to themselves. People should actually start to heal themselves, and people should actually start to acknowledge when they need help, if they need help, and understand that if you need help, you ask for it. If you feel that you don't need help, that you can manage, then manage on your own. Asking for help is not being a coward. Asking for help is not, it's not what do you call that? You're not responsible, or you're not threatening someone to take care of you or help you. Your only thing you're doing is asking. The worst thing they can say is no. If someone wants to really help you, they'll help you. But if they start talking crap behind your back, that speaks volumes of who they are. Obviously, they didn't want to help you, so they should have said no in the beginning instead of dragging you on to a nightmare that will eventually lead to you slapping the shit out of them, because I know I would. So this is food for thought. I want you guys to really think about these things. Like I said, maybe some people will say mothers and fathers are taboo. To me, nothing is a taboo. The reality is we come into this earth with a plan. And if you don't know what your plan is by the time you die, or by the time you get old and you get sick, that's not my problem. That's your problem, that you never paid attention, or you never bothered to realize or want to realize what it is that your journey was. Or you usurped your energy, your spiritual energy, instead of using it to be a white light and heal, and you decided to use it for profit. And then things went wrong, so you decided to leave it and then go back to the church because the church will save you. And then you find yourself in a worse condition than instead of finding yourself in a better condition. So guys, just think about that. Food for thought. This is Coffee with Ori. Now, I'm going to walk you guys through meditation. Quick meditation. We only have a few more minutes. So I'm going to walk you through this. I want everyone with their eyes open to take a deep breath through their nose, as deep as you can. And I want you to hold it, hold it, hold it, hold it, release. Take another deep breath. I want you to hold it, hold it, hold it, hold it, and release. Again, I want you to hold it and release it, this time in your mind, thinking of light and love to everyone that's hurting and everyone that's healing at the same time. I send you light and love as I exhale, and I wish you the best. Now close your eyes, and I want you to listen to what I'm going to say. I'm not going to go through the whole shebang of relaxing the feet and now. I'm going through relaxing the mind. First of all, find the position where you feel comfortable, whether it's a chair, whether it's the sofa, whether it's laying down, whether it's sitting down, whether it's standing up, whether it's doing the tree pose, whatever it is that rocks your boat. Just find yourself a spot where you feel comfortable. And I want you to relax your mind, your body, your soul, and your spirit. Your mind, your body, your soul, and your spirit. Repeating this over and over in your head, relaxing the mind, the body, the soul, and the spirit. Relaxing the mind, the body, the soul, and the spirit. Shivaya. Om Namah 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 Shivaya. Remember, relaxing the mind, the body, the soul, and the spirit. As I chant, keep repeating it. I'm relaxing the mind, the body, the soul, and the spirit. The mind, the body, the soul, and the spirit. Namah Shivaya. Om 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 Namah Shivaya. Relaxing the mind, the body, the soul, and the spirit. Relaxing the mind, the body, the soul, and the spirit. Relaxing the mind, the body, the soul, and the spirit. Relaxing the mind, the body, the soul, and the spirit. Relaxing the mind, the body, the soul, and the spirit. Namah Shivaya. Om 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 Namah Shivaya. Relaxing the mind, the body, the soul, and the spirit. Relaxing the mind, the body, the soul, and the spirit. Relaxing the mind, the body, the soul, and the spirit. Relaxing the mind, the body, the soul, and the spirit. Om Namah Shivaya. 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 Relaxing the mind, the soul, and the spirit. Relaxing the spirit, the mind, and the soul. Relaxing the mind, the body, the soul, and the spirit. Relaxing the mind, the body, the soul, and the spirit. Relaxing the mind, the body, the soul, and the spirit. I want you to take a deep breath, everyone, as deep as you can. And I want you to hold it, hold it, hold it, hold it. I want you to release it. Thinking about light and love only. I want you to take another deep breath. And I want you to hold it, hold it, hold it. Release with light and love. Again, I want you to take a deep breath. I want you to hold it, hold it, hold it, hold it. Release, sending out light and love to all that are in need, the poor, the rich, the sick, the dying, the people suffering for their families that never came home from going to the doctors. I want you to pray for the people who are ill and the people who are becoming ill, and for these countries that don't have the resources that we do. I want you to understand that although we are not responsible for people, we are responsible for humanity. We are responsible for this planet in which we share, because it's not our planet. So we're sharing. And we have to learn to send out light and love, even to those people who have actually destroyed a lot of this planet by digging and taking its minerals and its resources. And we need to make peace with ourselves, because once you make peace with yourself, you're able to see and you're able to change the things that are deep within you. For those who don't know what Namah Shivaya means, it means I bow down to my higher self. Who is your higher self? The higher self is the crown chakra, because it is the only chakra, the only place in your body that is the only connection with God that you cannot see. You cannot see it. By looking in the mirror, you cannot see it. You can put your head down, put your eyes will roll up, you're going to be able to see the crown. So at the end of the day, that is our connection to God. Namah Shivaya just lets us know that we're bowing down to our connection to God. We're bowing down to our higher self, which is God. So I want you to all take in what I said carefully. And, again, I always ask for input and nobody sends me input. So you definitely want me to talk about something, bring it up. There is no topic that is too strong as long as it's not X-rated. There is no topic that I won't talk about, and there is no topic that I would not mind a challenge. It is what it is. Life is what it is. But just remember, you can't help anyone if you cannot help yourself. You can't heal anyone if you cannot heal yourself. You have to be the priority. You have to be the person who is looking for yourself in your journey. So make sure that when you're looking for yourself, the journey that you are on is a journey just for you, not a journey for everybody else, a journey for you. And as long as you know that this journey is for you, you'll be good. You'll figure it out. You will learn to love yourself way more than you do now, because obviously if you have to depend on someone else, you don't love yourself enough. So you will start to learn to love yourself more, to be more patient with yourself, to be more understanding with yourself, to be more knowledgeable with yourself, and to keep yourself focused on great things. It's very important to be grounded in many ways. It's very important to understand what being grounded means, what being alive means. And I'm not talking about alive like breathing. I'm talking about alive, being alive, because it's part of the awakening. And like I said earlier in my early sessions, uh, the awakening is not an easy thing for everybody. It's difficult for many people. So think about that. Keep yourself in prayer. Don't pray for just yourself, pray for the universe as well. And yes, you are not, although you are not responsible for all of the people around you, you are responsible, just like I'm responsible for humanity, for this planet. So therefore, I would suggest that you guys not only send love and light to people who are hurting and people who have lost their parents and people who have lost children because of this COVID, but also send out love and light to those who created it and those people who don't think about money because they're so wealthy they don't care about money, or they care about its power. So think about that and send light and love to this planet that is hurting right now. Okay? 1 minute, we will go to commercial and this will be over. So I just want to thank you. Namaste. I want to thank all of you that showed up today and those that will show up looking at the video tomorrow. I want to thank you guys for your generosity, for your time, because your time is valuable, and for the abilities of things that you guys have created. Just remember, love yourself, love the universe, send love and light as much as you can to the universe and to humanity. You don't have to like people, but you have to understand that humanity as a whole has the opportunity to change and to make themselves better, because we work better in numbers. We don't work better by ourselves. Although it takes one person to make a difference, because it does, one person at a time and one step at a time, to create something cataclysmic and something big. So I think it's now time for commercial because it's 10 o'clock.